What's up? Hey, what's good? What's poppin'? I am Miss Berry. Welcome back to my channel. I appreciate you guys for coming through. I said coming through, y'all. I messed up my own intro. But I appreciate you guys for sliding through and coming to kick it with me. And as you guys can see, we're getting up into part 2 of this Candace Owens, the greatest lie ever sold. We was about 40 minutes deep up into that thing. So I'm pretty interested to see how it goes, how it ends. So we could, see it together for those who have not seen it. I know I'm late, so I'm pretty sure y'all probably seen it before I have. I apologize. But anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and get straight up into it. Whenever we can get up into it. All right, y'all. So, we about at the halfway point. So let's, keep going. That's the only thing about this play button. Don't want to play.
You're telling me that they made piñatas of you in effigy and they beat them.
With bats.
John Thompson did with a stick.
In our driveway. This is the man running to be a state representative in Minnesota.
In your driveway.
Overwhelmingly elected.
What?
Bob Crow and anybody who support his racist ass. Bob Crow, I said it.
I mean, it was horrendous, absolutely awful. And I got in trouble for pitching that as a story. We had reporters tweeting their alliance with Black Lives Matter using that hashtag after this movement, talking about it's okay to align yourself with this group and supporting Black Lives Matter. And that was fine. But I was no longer wanted there, and that was pretty clear.
What was the process of making these?
I mean, if you've ever been so angry you wanted to make a piñata, that's where I'm at. Just f them. Just absolutely f them. That's where I'm at.
So when did you make the decision to leave?
My contract was up in January of this last year, and I had been blackballed in the market.
If I can interject, they were successful in destroying her career because she had a wonderful career trajectory going. She's a small town, Worthington, Minnesota local. She was a local favorite. She was the primary fill-in for the two main anchors. She had a weekend anchor. The ratings that they had were huge. Everybody loved her. And then all of a sudden, this twist. So I watched it destroy her.
That's just crazy.
And destroy her career, something that she's very good at and a lot better, quite frankly, than some of her competitors or her replacements.
Yeah, I remember that.
My name's Fraser Ross, and I own retail stores in Los Angeles, California.
During the George Floyd protests that swept the nation, what happened?
We were looted for over $400,000 worth of merchandise.
Wow.
It was a disaster.
You then went online, and what did you observe that you thought was out of the ordinary?
Chrissy Teigen had posted on her Instagram, I'll help the protesters get out of jail. Then she said, well, let me up it to another 100,000. Now, when you have approximately 30 million followers at the time, you can start a movement, and people say, oh, well, she's going to bail me out and everything. And then, you've got celebrities like Jennifer Garner giving 4 hearts to that post. Well, they all live in gated communities, and it's not their stuff being destroyed.
And you had just been looted.
Yeah, I went online and posted an Instagram of the store being looted. And I tagged, thanks, Chrissy. She wrote under this post, well, like anyone's really shopped there for 10 years.
So her instinct after seeing that your store had...
I'm gonna have to go watch something on Chrissy because her name been coming up a lot in these videos that I don't expect it to. I only know very little of her. Like, she's married to John Legend, right? So I don't know too much on, excuse me, like, on her involvement with any of this, so that'd be something interesting to get into as well. But it was just very tragic that all of this happened, and it definitely destroyed businesses that took hard-earned money, years, like just sweat, pain, everything up into it, and for it to get just taken from you or damaged like that, and you might not have the money to cover to get everything back going at that. Like, it's just, I understand it can be rough. But again, let's keep watching. As soon as I can press play.
Been actually looted.
Yeah.
Her response is, well, no one shops at your store anyway. So she was not sympathetic to the victim in this circumstance.
Not one bit. But Jen Atkins was actually worse.
Jen Atkins, she's a friend of Chrissy Teigen. You've tagged her in this post because you sell her products. She comments on this post as well.
Right.
Basically saying, use the shampoo to clean up the graffiti.
And my looting cream comes out in October.
So they're having fun.
They're mocking the looting.
Right.
You should be in federal
Yeah,
prison
that's-
if you're
that's
inciting violence with that many
disrespectful.
people following you.
So Dana decides to jump in and call you and Kitson a racist store because you were upset
right.
that
This
your
is
store
the-
was looted.
yeah.
This made you a racist somehow.
Right, right.
So this was quite literally blaming the victim. Then what happened?
She sends a DM saying, well, before we get on the phone, you're going to have to apologize to Chrissy Teigen, and then I'll take down the post.
Dana Omari from her
Apologize for
Instagram
what?
account
What'd he
wrote
say?
exactly this. You need to make a formal public apology for blaming a woman of color, she was referring to Chrissy Teigen, for your store being looted. And Chrissy needs to be named. In this apology, you should mention it was insensitive to place the blame on a single person and that the true cause of the riots is the mishandling of police brutality toward George Floyd and the Black community as a whole. You should also say that while you are devastated by the looting of your store, you recognize it comes from a place of privilege to be concerned about replaceable items when others are protesting for their rights to live. If you apologize,
wait.
I will happily remove all posts concerning your store. How does that sound? So this blogger, just to recap, has essentially
what?
jumped in on behalf of Chrissy Teigen.
Right. So we got on the phone for 53 minutes, and most of the conversation was, you need to apologize to Chrissy Teigen. I said, I'm not apologizing to her. There's no reason to apologize to Chrissy Teigen. But what are you looking for? Are you looking for money? I was worried that how aggressive they were, and the looting was still approaching. And my main store, the value in that store is much greater than the store that got looted.
Right, so because she's publicly posted your store
Right.
as being owned by a racist,
Right.
concerned that they're gonna come loot you some more. Who was the check written out to?
Act Blue.
To Act Blue.
Right. Which
Okay.
is BLM.
Black Lives Matter. So
Right.
she was basically saying,
Okay.
if you make a donation to Black Lives Matter,
I'll take down the post.
okay.
And then after she got out the conversation with me, she texts me from a phone number. And if you don't make the donation, I'm going to repost this. I'm going to make another post on unfortunate posts that won't be good.
So let me ask you a question. Chrissy Teigen, Jen Atkins,
The
a
audacity.
blogger in which they both follow.
Like,
Why
who are
do you
you
think they
to-
felt
to
the need
make
to
threats
get
like that?
involved on such a level and to be so supportive of the looting?
Well, I think there was a side that they felt that it would help them become relevant and heroes.
I don't know
and
what he was
everything.
saying to
Did
them
Dana
back and forth
mention
either,
anything
though.
to you about Chrissy Teigen and her
Sorry,
having a
y'all.
relationship?
Yes, she said Chrissy Teigen thanked me for what she did.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she thanked the blogger
Yes.
for calling you a racist.
Yes.
And I guess having an outrage
Yes.
mob
Yeah.
descend on you online.
Yes.
I wonder why.
My name is Charles and I grew up in Kenya.
How long have you lived in Minneapolis?
I came to Minneapolis in May of 1997, so it's been 27 years.
27 years.
Yes.
What was this city before the George Floyd riots?
Well, it was just a typical Midwestern city with low crime and hardworking people.
I'm sorry, I'm loud.
And
I'm so sorry.
we just lived here and enjoyed life together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then things took a bit of a turn, and this is something different, would you say?
Well, what we saw was like a venting of anger. It was complete opposite of Minnesota nice. And we saw anger, mayhem, looting, destruction of property.
Well, he taking a
burning of
whole
police precincts,
statue.
and it was completely foreign to me. I'm used to something like this in third world countries, but not in America, and quite honestly, not in Minnesota.
not in Minnesota. This is something that I think I've never seen before in any city that I've lived in, at least. It says, "You are now entering the free state of George Floyd." What does that mean?
It means this is an autonomous zone and it operates outside the laws of United States. And anything that happens here is run by a community and they do whatever they want.
They do whatever they want. How is that allowed in the United States?
The city of Minneapolis has been negotiating.
Negotiating with whom?
With the community.
Wow. So the city is being held hostage by the community that is running the autonomous zone. Do I have that understood?
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we are now entering a state where really anything goes, right? Really sort of anything goes, right?
Well, I think anything goes here. We've seen death. We've seen a man shot right in front of us. We've seen a woman who was pregnant shot right in front of us.
No.
And right here, we had a huge bus, like a school bus, and it was a clinic. It was a medical clinic. And the number one thing they were treating during the time of the riots was gunshot wounds right here.
As I'm looking around, there's so many empty shops on the block, things that are boarded up.
Wow.
How does that make you feel to see that? Is there ever going to be life again on this street?
Well, I feel like there has been a tremendous loss of the way of life here has changed, the economy, the destruction of businesses. Most of the businesses here that were destroyed, the insurance would not be able to cover that.
Right.
And so it's a hard thing for people to rebuild themselves.
Yeah.
Especially after what they went through.
That is
true. It almost seems like a vigil is being kept here.
Well, this is pretty much the body of George Floyd. This is where he lay dead and breathed his last right here.
Right. And so the idea is that no one should enter. This is sort of a sacred place. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can see this. It's pretty much a holy ground.
Now, you're a pastor, so I just wanted to ask you, how does it make you feel, right? Knowing, obviously, who...
I'm sorry to pause y'all, but how is that created? Like, do they just, you know what I'm saying, just all come together and decide to just block off this section? Or do you got to run it over with the city? Like, I'm just really curious, but it's a lot. Like, it does look like a mini sacred museum or something. But I think that's what it is anyway, right?
Who George Floyd was and how he lived his life. To see that this has been transformed into a holy ground, you know, as if this is where Jesus Christ took his last breath.
Well, we have better people to follow. Of course, Jesus Christ, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who have lived their lives and epitomized what we would like to emulate.
Right, right. And how does it make you feel when you hear leaders, you know, saying that the death of George Floyd is more significant than Martin Luther King?
It's outrageous.
I guess I would have assumed
I wouldn't say
when
it's
Black
more
Lives Matter
significant.
announced that they raised over $90 million, who knows how much over.
It matters though, all of
on
it
the
matters,
back
everything.
of the George Floyd riots and the sprees. Where is that money?
I don't know. It's not here.
Everything
looks worse than it was.
Is it possible that Black America was sort of used as a front, and the emotions that Black America was feeling was used as a front, and this money went probably maybe not to Black people at all, anywhere in the world?
So many elements of people who took advantage of the death of George Floyd to stir up the emotions for political gain, for financial gain, and to propagate division, because some of these organizations that raise money, they can only get money if they propagate hatred and division. They are not helping the community. They are helping themselves.
That makes sense. Three female activists. So they were females. I didn't know that. Learn something new.
Where have you seen that money impacted throughout the city?
Democratic politics. I mean, that's.
We shared this place, right? And we went half on everything, you know, the rent, light, gas. So when it happened to Floyd, everything fell back on me and Alvin. So
You got a car out there, it's just sitting there.
just sitting there,
We couldn't do nothing with it because he didn't,
we don't have
we don't
time.
have the title. They won't take it or move it.
The car.
It is just shocking to me because of how much money was raised to think that where he lived, the bills weren't being covered.
Wow.
So Black Lives Matter
Are you
released their
serious?
990 IRS filings, and of course, I wanted to jump right into it and
I mean,
find out
I'm sorry, y'all. I don't mean to pause it, but I mean it's on some information as well. But that's like it's not that shocking that that happened because it seems unfortunately to happen more than usual for people to like you have all this money raised or this and this and that. And you don't see any of it. Like life is just it's just even more of a struggle because now you have all of these responsibilities to take care of. So that happens way more than normal. So it's not even shocking and it's just very upsetting. If I'm being honest.
exactly what happened to the approximate $80 million that was raised by them between July 1st of 2020 and June 30th, 2021.
Right, what happened to
Okay,
it?
Vivek, so during the George Floyd death and the aftermath, you were in Silicon Valley, is that correct?
Yeah, I was running a biotech company, actually, and I was CEO at the time, that's right.
What was the corporate reaction in Silicon Valley?
There was a pledge of allegiance to one cause, to turn this man, who had died in a tragic death, no doubt, into some type of new modern messiah figure. And I thought that the religious quality of every company bending the knee was a bit odd, and I was actually pretty keen on making sure that I didn't lie to my employees, that I didn't tell them something that I didn't believe about this. I sent an employee all email, and I said, look, I understand there's racial riots across the country, or there's unrest across the country. I hope everybody's safe. Let us know if you need us to support you. That was about it. And I remembered the reaction that I got, that somehow that failed to meet the moment because I didn't recite the same ritual incantation that every other CEO was pledging allegiance to across the country, a corporate statement made by the same PR firm.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been sort of investigating throughout this documentary, where did the money go that was given to Black?
Okay, like what's going on? Okay. I was trying to figure out like what happened.
Allegiance to across the country, a corporate statement made by the same PR firm that effectively ended in Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been sort of investigating throughout this documentary, where did the money go that was given to Black Lives Matter? We never even really got a full answer of how much money was given.
I often say that BLM now stands for Buy Lavish Mansions, because that's what the BLM movement does. You actually saw in recent weeks there was a person who was effectively working for BLM that personally purchased a mansion, and she pays $3 million for it. Within days, like I think it's 48 hours later, flips that to the BLM organization who pays nearly $6 million for that same house, booking a personal profit to the person who actually bought it. So that's a self-dealing transaction that enriches personally somebody who's working for Black Lives Matter. Why is BLM buying big lavish mansions in the first place?
When their donors were understandably outraged by the luxurious purchase, Patrisse Cullors came forth and also admitted that she hired both her mother and her brother to work at the property. What sort of work, you ask? Well, Patrisse Cullors' brother, Paul Cullors, is a graffiti artist by trade. That's what he's done his entire life. He's done graffiti. Patrisse instead hired her brother to do security for her. She paid Paul $840,000. That's almost $1 million in just 1 year to her graffiti artist brother, his newly established security firm. Now, that makes her a great sister, but perhaps she's an even better baby mama because Patrisse also gave funding from Black Lives Matter to take care of the man who fathered her son. His name is Damon Turner, and he received $970,000 $600,000 from BLM to his company Trap Heels LLC, which purportedly provided live production and media. So that makes Patrice a great sister, a wonderful baby mama, and also, by the way, she's a fun mom. Because one of the events that Patrice organized at her BLM mansion was for her young son's birthday party. Nothing says taking on police brutality quite like hosting a birthday party for your young son in a Los Angeles mansion paid for by donors to the cause. Patrice likes parties, by the way, because she also threw a party there to celebrate the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And yeah, that's somewhat suspicious because what do Democrats have to do with Black Lives Matter? I think I'll just leave that question open-ended.
Well, there's so much going on, y'all. I
Suspicious is the
apologize.
fact that Black Lives Matter designated a whopping $8 million to an out-of-country grant. What? I thought this charity was about addressing police brutality in the United States. Apparently, to do that, you need to send $8 million to Toronto, Canada, to an organization named M4BJ. They purchased a $6.3 million, 10,000 square foot downtown property.
I'm sorry to pause it right here, y'all. It just don't make no sense. Like, it's just, okay, so what was the whole purpose? Like, what was what was the real purpose behind, you starting this or that? Like, it's so many different questions, if I'm being honest.
Toronto. And I should also mention that M4BJ is run by Patrice's wife, Janiyah Khan, because it is. She is the co-founder, believe it or not. And here's where it gets really interesting. Janiyah Khan is gender non-conforming. These terms can be quite sensitive, so let me just use photos to illustrate my point. Janiyah used to look like this, and now she looks like this. Now that information would be entirely irrelevant if it wasn't for the way that Patrice Cullors saw it fit to spend the rest of the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And yeah, that's somewhat suspicious because what do Democrats have to do with Black Lives Matter? I think I'll just leave that question open-ended.
They're not. Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to see. I'm like, okay,
gender non-conforming. These terms can be quite sensitive, so let me just use photos to illustrate my point. Janiyah used to look like this, and now she looks like this. Now that information would be entirely irrelevant if it wasn't for the way that Patrice Cullors saw it fit to spend the rest of Black Lives Matter's money. Ready for some BLM pride? Well, according to their IRS form, $200,000 went to the Transgender Justice Funding Project. Another $200,000 went to the Transgender United Fund. Another $200,000 went to the Transgendered Law Center. Another $200,000 went to Black Transgendered Media. Another $200,000 went to the Transgendered Variant and Intersex Justice Project. Another $200K went to the Transgendered District. By the way, if you're wondering what that is, it's purportedly going to be the all transgender district, and I guess that's really, really important for Black America advancement in society, I guess, or whatever. Another $200K went to the St. James Infirmary. That organization, by the way, is for, according to their website, it's run by sex workers and is for them. Specifically, escorts, BDSM workers, strippers, peep show workers, phone sex operators, and webcam performers.
There's a whole lot of sexual stuff.
It was actually the St. James Infirmary that created the Transgendered District. So that's just an organization within another organization, which, by the way, you see a lot of when you go through these documents. So yeah, going to be apparently great big things involving sex workers in the future for Black America. In continuation, the Center for Halstead received $200,000 from Black Lives Matter. They are Chicago's community center dedicated to securing the health and well-being of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people of Chicago. Similarly, we have the Audrey Lorde Project, which received $200,000, and according to their website, they are a lesbian, gay, bisexual, two-spirit, trans, and gender non-conforming people of color.
And I'm not saying that there's something like wrong with, there's just no judgment. Like, I have no judgment by anyone wanting to be what they want to be, like what they want. Like, it's no judgment, like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the fact that all of this money, it's just all of it is going towards here. Like, are you serious? All of it is literally going towards here. Like, we could literally, these are records like we could literally see. So this, really? Like, I don't know. It just makes me think. Like, it makes my mind a little, like, it's just spinning. It's just spinning. Let's keep watching though so we can see. So let's get to the bottom of all of this. Press play.
Community Organizing Center. Another $400,000 went to Transgender Advocates Knowledgeable Empowering, or TAKE, as it's known for short. The founder of that organization is a transgendered individual by the name of Darrenisha Duncan Boyd. Darrenisha is also the executive director of the Transgendered United Fund, which I mentioned earlier, which secured $200,000. So a total $600,000 of BLM money went to a transgendered woman named Darrenisha Boyd, who is operating two charities. I found that piece to be very interesting. Here is Darrenisha describing in a 2020 interview how they were able to use that money that was received to the organization to purchase more real estate.
We're opening up a new resource center here, and the resource center is almost 3 times as big as our last space that we was in. So we have lots of space and lots of rooms for our clients to come in and enjoy.
I noticed that real estate seems to be a common theme amongst these transgendered organizations. Remember, there's the first ever transgender district, and there are also a couple of houses that are named on their IRS documents. For example, an additional $200,000 was given to the House of Tulip. According to their website, the House of Tulip provides zero barrier housing to trans and gender non-conforming people. But the one that really stood out as the most nonsensical is the $200,000 that went to the Griffin Gracie Retreat and Educational Center, known as House of Gigi for short. According to that website, they provide services and resources that positively impact the lives, history, and visibility of transgender, gender questioning, and gender non-conforming
like, that's all you see.
They admit that they purchased a property
Is this something
in Little
somebody
Rock,
want to tell
Arkansas
us?
back in 2019, and that property was supposed to serve as an oasis and a retreat for transgendered person, but they admit, also on the website, that they actually never held such a retreat. First, because their founder had a stroke and was recovering, and then it was COVID-19, so they still couldn't host a retreat. And despite having never hosted a retreat at this amazing oasis property that they purchased, in 2021, they announced that they purchased a second property next door to the first one. So, yeah. Now, all of the organizations that I just mentioned, none of them, not one, is up to date on filing a tax return with the IRS, which is required for charities, because charities, remember, they don't pay taxes.
So
in
not
other words,
one of
I'm not
them?
able to tell you how any of these transgendered organizations spent the money that BLM poured into their organizations during the 2020 and 2021 tax year. If you continue to look through BLM IRS docs, you'll notice that they gave millions of dollars to various Black Lives Matter organizations throughout America, or at least at first glance, it appears that they did. A closer look, you'll see that they actually dispersed that funding to organizations that were in care of Black Lives Matter. This means that actually another organization is accepting the donation on behalf of BLM. So I decided to investigate that further, and I noticed a really bizarre pattern. A lot of those organizations train activists. They train the youth to become activists in their communities. One organization even goes as far as bragging on their website about their history of getting arrested, protesting, and they offer courses on various techniques like bird dogging. That's a technique that's used to confront politicians. I thought to myself, it's interesting because I kept hearing over and over again while filming this documentary that people felt as though the protesters that arrived throughout these cities weren't actually from the cities that they arrived in. They didn't know where they had come from. I don't know, buses, there was this idea that buses were showing up filled with protesters. It's a fair question then. Is it plausible that Patrice was giving money to groups that were creating protesters, or training activists rather? I mean, why else would Patrice give millions of dollars to so many trained activists? I wanted to investigate that piece a little further, and so I made some phone calls. So I want to call some of these groups today, pretend that I want to give money to the organization, and see what I can find out about what they do. And I get the feeling that none of these multi-million-dollar organizations are gonna pick up the phone.
We are not able to take your call. The Google subscriber you have called is not available.
No response.
You have the wrong number. Thanks and goodbye.
What?
Please leave a message after the tone.
No one's available.
Your call cannot be completed as
Verizon Wireless.
The Google subscriber you have called is not available.
Google subscriber.
Not in service.
Hello, this is me. I am the co-coordinator of development and communications. Is the boots on the ground place, the place where the seeds are sown for the movement to continue to grow.
How are you guys involved actively, not just in, oh, you know, we want like to know how you are actually active?
Yes, we are trainers, we are healers, we are artists, we are creators, but most importantly, we are on the front lines. We are fighting for freedom assembly through education.
Whatever. This is great. Obviously, we were, like I said, we gave millions and millions of dollars after the horrific killing of George Floyd. If we give your organization $1 million and something like that happens, right? How are you getting involved?
In the past, has provided movement support and accompaniment on the front line at protests. We have supported bail funds. We have supported pop-up workshops. We are not only keeping people prepared by preparing their minds for the movement, but we're also putting them in community with spiritual workers and with other educators on the ground during those protest efforts. Along with made a significant gift for this specific purpose of bailing out protesters during the 2020 uprising.
That's so wonderful.
One of our economics and governance organizers who works for was actually arrested in Kentucky as part of a protest, and we have been standing with her throughout that work and been showing up for court dates and packing the court and offering her legal support. So
that's what we want to see. That's what we're looking for. Yeah.
Thanks so much for your time.
She's just playing it all.
You too. Thank you so much. Training activists, making sure that people's minds are poisoned and that they know that they're supported through bailing out. We will bail you out. We've got the money to bail you out. And that's kind of what this is all about. The investigation continues.
She was playing her role.
Now, the organization that received the biggest grant from Black Lives Matter, according to their filing, is an organization called Living Through Giving Foundation. The Living Through Giving Foundation, per their mission statement, strives to connect people through organized acts of love. They run a program called #LunchBag. This program allegedly brings people together to create bagged lunches in which they write handwritten love notes, and then they distribute the bagged lunches to local communities. That sounds nice, right? I thought so too. I thought to myself, I want to attend one of these events, but when I went to their website, there were no upcoming events. And when I went to the website to explore past events and learn more about the original givers, I was met with a coming soon page. So I wondered, who is the executive director of this organization that accepted $2.3 million from Black Lives Matter?
You can't even get in contact with them.
Of course, when I went to the IRS website, they also had neglected to file an up-to-date return, but there was a name at least. And that name was AJ Reeland, listed as the executive director. AJ owns 3 coffee shops in California. You'd have to imagine my surprise, though, when I found an article about his coffee shop opening in 2019, and buried within the piece was a picture of none other than Patrisse Cullors, sitting there with her friends having coffee. In 2019, meaning Patrisse Cullors had a relationship with A.J. Reeland that predates the George Floyd protests. So exactly why did she transfer BLM money to her old friend AJ via his charity that is nothing more than really a splash page with no upcoming events? Is she a part owner of those coffee shops? Is she an investor?
Right.
I will leave that as the $2.3 million question. What I can say for certain is that you don't just send your non-black friend $2.3 million just because. Perhaps most hilariously,
That's
you'll
a lot of
recall
money.
that the founders of Black Lives Matter pride themselves on being abolitionists. They want to abolish the old systems of white supremacy, the systems which keep Black America away from garnering our true generational wealth and financial freedom in this horrible country.
Yeah.
Which makes it somewhat odd that they invested $32 million into the stock market. Wall Street, what a great way to abolish the system of white supremacy. Invest in stocks. I think that the IRS docs in the end lead to more questions than they do answers. And if you were an individual who gave to this organization, a well-meaning individual who gave because you thought it was going to help Black America, then you should get answers to those questions.
So many questions. So many
we are
answers
headed
needed.
to Laurel Canyon. We've yet to see any Black people in this neighborhood. There were a ton of cyclists coming through. Not that that's an issue, but it just seems a bit strange because the Black Lives Matter messaging, of course, has been that Black people cannot be safe in white spaces. So it's an unusual decision to buy a home in a neighborhood that doesn't have any Black faces and is surrounded by what we've been told are violent white people that don't want to see Black Americans become better. So hopefully, as we are heading now to the house, we'll be able to speak to somebody on the property.
It's weird seeing
Is
her
this
with
a
her hair
creative
up. I'm
space
used
for
to it
Black
being down.
Americans? Why did we purchase this property with the money that was raised on the faces of so many dead Black people?
Right.
I'm assuming it's going to be a welcoming environment.
A lot of questions.
So there's definitely somebody home. Hello. I was just looking to speak to whoever is at this property. Sir? Hello? I don't know if he's going to get someone. I see a very cute German Shepherd, it looks like.
This morning, I woke up to Candace Owens being outside of my house.
I think I've seen this
with
video.
the news crew.
Looks to be maybe in his mid-40s, white male, black hat, and he is, whoever he spoke to on the phone has instructed him to record us, which is strange because we just want to talk. And what I see in the driveway are 2 cars and a sign that says you are exactly where you are supposed to be.
She was demanding that I come outside.
Hi. Hello. Hi, you're welcome to record. I just want to talk. Are you instructed not to speak to anybody? We're not trying to harass you. We'll gladly leave. We're just wondering if we can speak to anybody. Sorry, what was that? Okay, I just thought this was a house for Black Lives Matter.
It's unacceptable and it's dangerous that anybody, any stranger, come outside of my house.
So you're just trying to figure out if this house is actually being used for Black people in a creative space at all, and it doesn't seem that way.
What happened this morning is not safety.
Girl, bye.
It's not what
Girl,
I deserve.
bye.
It's not what any of us deserve.
I can't see how this purchase helped Black lives anywhere in America. I can't even find a Black life on the property. The dog's not even Black, so there's that.
And so they're literally trying to destroy us. They're trying to destroy me. They're trying to destroy the movement. And I just need us to be stronger.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
No words. I have no words.
What could be more emblematic of Black Lives Matter than that? Playing the victim
to the public, hoping that you can get sympathy, and perhaps that sympathy will transform into dollars. And of course, after we exposed that lie, she subsequently wipes her Instagram and says that she needs a mental break and needs to reevaluate stuff. And what I'm hoping is that by the end of this, they'll wipe the entire organization and charity, you know, because it is not what it seems. The real story is a story of addiction. That's it. That's actually a story that could have brought people together globally. This was a man that was high on drugs and went into a store with counterfeit bills. He sat in a car with his dealer. Obviously, they had drugs on them. Drugs were found on them. And I believe that in his final moments, when the police arrived, he ingested a lethal amount of drugs. And unfortunately, the paramedics and the medical attention that this person would have needed in the immediate never happened, never transpired. And it is a story of a man who overdosed in the end.
Yep, that's the second time we've seen this quote.
The media is your enemy. That is what I will say. And I believe that from the bottom of my heart after examining every corner of this case. The media scared the jury. The media scared even politicians into agreeing in lockstep. There's no other way to examine the media but to recognize that they were the enemy.
Yeah.
And they're not going to stop being the enemy. People were deluded and people were lied to, and people should be angry. People should be rightfully angry that they acted the part of a marketing agency for what, in my opinion, is a complete fraud.
Yeah.
Fraudulent organization that uses black emotion and black pain to extort dollars from white America. That's what happened. You were all lied to. That's the truth.
That's just crazy. That was sweet of her to do that. That was sweet to do that. That's a long time. That was recently too. All right, y'all. So we're gonna end that video like that right there. There's no point in, to keep going. But it's just crazy. It's just crazy. It's unbelievable, like the things that you learn, especially when, you know what I'm saying, there's facts being presented to you. There's things that you can go read and research, and then when you start, you know what I'm saying, listening to everybody, not just everybody, but listening to, just the different patterns, noticing the different patterns, and not even just listening at the way things have been going, and then just looking at it. Like, it's just so many things that I could say, and it's just so much that I can't say because it's just, I have so many questions. Like, what in the heck were you thinking? Like, all of this money is just like, what? That's just more important than everything else in the world. Like, everybody you just invest. Like, I just can't talk. Like, I'm a little angry. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm a little angry because it's mind blowing. It makes me angry. I just don't understand. Like, this is the world we live in? Like, this is our world. This is the world that I'm supposed to raise my child in. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, people screaming Black Lives Matter. I'm not discrediting the movement. I'm not saying, oh, that's not what I'm saying. But like the background story of things, when you know, just if you see what I'm saying and just know, and then like you can see the proof and you're actually like reading, you know what I'm saying? It's just, what can you say about the facts that's in front of you over something that's hard to believe? Like, it can be hard to believe, but it happened, and it's just, this crap is crazy. It just really shows the type of people we have in the world and like what's the main focus here. And it's just really made me wonder, like, I have a child that I have to raise in this world that's like this, and I'm not the only one that's a parent. Like, us parents have to raise kids. Well, heck, we gotta like live in this. We have to live in it as well and teach them this and teach them that. It's just so much. Like, it's just so much. The world is not the same as it was back then, but at the same time, it's very similar. Still the same thing, excuse me, is going on, and it's crazy. I'm just trying to figure out, at what point will anything be different, or will it ever be different, or is it just no? Like, I just need answers. But overall, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed part 2 of this documentary here. I enjoyed watching the part 2. You know, getting it out the way. I'm happy that we was able to get through it and, you know, get to the nitty-gritty. And that second half, let me just say it like that, this second half, I'm not gonna lie, got me tongue-tied, because it's like, whoa, what? Wait, who? Like, that's how I felt. And it's just crazy. I'm gonna need some time to process this, y'all. What about y'all? Y'all comment down below. Give me more things that you guys would like to see me react to on this channel. It don't necessarily have to be, you know, with Candace or anything of that nature. But, you know, just comment it down below. I like to interact with each and every one of you guys all the time through the comments. It's getting dark, y'all. Oh my God. But anyway, y'all, don't forget to also thumbs up this video. And as always, I appreciate you guys for coming through and coming to kick it with me. And on the way out, guys, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and also ring that bell right next to it. So when I drop a video, you guys won't miss it. You'll be right here to catch it. And until next time, y'all.